Welcome to part 2 of the Empire. Last video we looked at the history of the Empire and what caused it to fracture right before the time of Bannerlord. Now we'll see how they are represented in the game. The Empire's military is based off the period of Byzantine resurgence after reeling from the constant Islamic attacks, 9th to 11th centuries to be exact. The main tool in the Byzantine arsenal was their heavy shot cavalry, the Cataphracts. Fully armored cavalry who rode into battle with an extensive array of weaponry, lances, sabers, long-handed maces. Their Cataphracts will be supplemented with medium and light cavalry, sturdy spearmen, and skirmishers, plus any mercenaries they can round up. The Byzantines were masters of combined arms, authors of military manuals like the Strategicon that counseled patience over glory-seeking, pioneers of a more scientific approach to warfare. The Empire will also deploy powerful cavalry, sturdy spearmen, and skirmishers, and the upgraded command system will give players a chance to experiment with combined arms. Improvements to the morale calculations, such as shock effect from taking down a large amount of troops at once, can make tactics such as flanking more effective. Imperial Cataphracts are also designed for opportunistic attacks that benefit from being timed more carefully than the Varangian steamroller. The main weapon for the Cataphracts is their two-handed kotos lances, a slight anachronism, as these were widely used during the late antiquity than the early medieval era. Since the weapon is two-handed, Cataphracts will not carry shields. Without that important piece of protection, a frontal charge by Cataphracts might be more easily disrupted by missile fire, but if the enemy doesn't have supporting missile troops, then the extra reach of the kotos can be devastating. Once they are in close order combat, their heavy maces, swung from a moving horse, can also deliver a crushing blow. Just like the Romans during their long peace, the Empire is assumed to have imposed a form of pax caratica, at least in the stabled heartland, if not on the ever-embattled frontiers. The long peace and stability has allowed the imperial cities to grow, so the Empire is assumed to be slightly more developed than the outer kingdoms. In Bannerlord, you'll be able to see the city's economic muscle with the amount of workshops it has, and its defensive might is shown by the outer walls that can be one of 3 levels with different scenes for each. As in the realm of Caradia, regional variation throughout the Empire will be shown, largely through the minor factions. Imperial border areas tend to be rougher and more chaotic than the Heartland, and in game are represented by the frontiersmen. Though fiercely loyal to the Empire, they adopted many ways of the warrior tribes they face, from weaponry to the preference for blood feud over courts of law. The Watchers in the northern hill country, represented by the Akrati, the famous Byzantine borderers of Anatolia. In the south and east, colonies of fugitives and free-spirited wanderers have learned to live and ride like the steppe peoples they fight, forming the Eleftherioi. These are based on the Cossacks. Third Rome rather than second, admittedly, but probably not much different than those who guarded the Byzantine Black Sea frontiers. And of course, we have that faction based on the Varangians, the fearsome Nord guardsmen of the Emperor, who in the tumult after Arnico's death have formed a mercenary outfit. An adventurer may make his or her name in the Outer Kingdoms, but to rise to the pinnacle of power in the game, a player will need eventually to deal in one way or the other with the Empire and its legacy. You may be Attila who humbles it, a Justinian who restores it, or a Charlemagne who remakes it in a new form in a new land. Don the purple robe or trample it into the dust on the hooves of your horse. That is your choice. That is it for the Empire. If you'd like to see more Bannerlord videos, consider checking out my Bannerlord playlist. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.